You are listening to More Than a Sniff, a weekly podcast of Western States Canine College. I'm Joe, owner and principal trainer here with my colleagues Chris, Michelle, and Shannon. Today, we are going to talk about
nutrition. Everybody has opinions and thoughts, and there's so much out there, and there's so many different dog foods that it becomes overwhelming, and then you hope that the person at the pet store, wherever that may be, guides you in the right direction. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what each of us feed our dogs and kind of our feeding routines and some of the things that we've tried and some of the things that didn't work for us as well, but also I'll get into a little bit of the nitty-gritties of helping out. How do you read a dog food bag? How do you know really how much to feed your dog? And some of the marketing around it so that we can be more successful in keeping our dogs fit. And also, if you have a dog that needs to lose weight, it's not about putting them on a diet food. And just like us as human beings, diet foods don't help us lose weight. It's the overall balance of what we do. But it really is about the food that you feed and making sure that you're feeding the correct amount of calories. So we're going to get going here, and Shannon, share a little bit about what you're feeding Louie and what things you've tried and what things you haven't and what you've been successful at with him.
So Louie's an odd case because he has a food allergy to fish. So I've tried a lot of different diets with him to try and maintain him in a state where he's not having allergic reactions all the time. And the only food that will do that for him is the Hills Science Diet hydrolyzed protein. It has no fish in it. It's really hard to find a diet with no fish in it because fish oil is really beneficial to dogs. It helps their skin and their hair, and actually for dogs with allergies, usually it's prescribed to help dogs that have allergic dermatitis, which is what Louie has. So he is odd in his allergy to that specifically. So I tried the Acana diets have selected protein that have like just pork or just lamb. Those unfortunately gave him urinary problems, so he could not eat that. So after about 2 years of food trials, Hills is the one that works the best for him, and so that's what I feed him.
That's great, and that sometimes it's a challenge because overall, for me and my recommendations and a lot of the higher-end pet stores and pet food, and I shouldn't say pet stores, but pet food specialists, they really don't like Science Diet at all. I mean, it's really, you talk to some of the people that are feeding organic and raw, and Science Diet is definitely not their favorite, but when it comes down to the overall health of do we have a itchy dog that's miserable, or do we have a dog that can stay sane because allergies are never fun. Sometimes you have to go to foods that maybe are not everybody's favorite to find that balance. That's really good insight, and that you continue to try. I mean, so much with allergies is such a challenge all the time with dogs. So that's good to know. Did you ever go raw with him, Shannon?
I did not do raw, and the reason was because I'm just really limited in time with all the things that I have going on in my own life that I don't even feel like I'm healthy for myself sometimes. So to take it really is a lot of work to do raw, and you really have to do your research and know what you're doing to get the proper balance of nutrition for your dog, I feel, even despite having totally medical conditions. So that was just too big of a time consuming step for me where I was in my life at that time.
Yeah, that's good. Michelle, tell us a little bit about what you're feeding and the things that you've tried and where you're at with your pack.
What have I not tried? That's probably the better thing to say. I have tried everything from high-end dog kibble to I did do a raw diet when Murphy was a puppy. I've done dehydrated diets. I've done when Prudence was young, my Cavalier, when she was young, she was always sick. Like her stomach was always upset. So we did trial and error with that. It was definitely a grain thing that was going on with her. So we avoid grains now. And her having a sensitive stomach, at that time I decided that I was going to switch around foods and like build up their so that they could eat anything. So we tried everything. Like I said, we did every time I go to the store, I buy a different bag of dog food. I never buy the same bag. In a row at least. I mean, there's definitely like brands that I go back to and stuff, but I never buy the same kind one after another. A few reasons for that is because Prudence does have a sensitive stomach, so just to build up her tolerance on being able to eat anything is why I started that. But also, my Briard is extremely picky about food, so it's just nice to switch up flavors and stuff for him so that he will eat.
Yeah.
And he's funny. Like, I know he doesn't like chicken, so I get lamb. But I do like I switch it over. Sometimes it'll be fish. Sometimes it'll be. So yeah, I mean, I've tried a little bit of everything. I really actually enjoyed doing raw diet. My hardest thing was it's so time consuming. And also because Murphy was a growing puppy, I never felt like he was getting enough. Like for the recommendation that they were doing, he was growing so quick that it was just I couldn't keep up with how much he needed at that time. It's something I've always wanted to go back to, but now it's a time thing for sure that I just don't have time to do it. So.
Yep, for sure.
I think with my dogs now. I think with my dogs now, the hardest thing is Prudence has acid reflux, so she has to eat at a certain time every day. Like it has to be every few hours she has to have food, so that's really hard too. But it's just a balance we've had to find.
Yeah, I think that's, where it becomes where you want to feel like I want to change that because you don't like eating the same thing every day either. And so, how do you change up food without getting your dog sick and upsetting it, their glands and their pituitary glands and overactive stomach and it definitely is finding that balance. For me, with my four, we cannot do chicken in our household at all. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. Mitt can do chicken, and his canned food is a high-calorie canned food that is chicken, and he's the only one that can do chicken. I think he's starting to get itchy, so I may have to pull him off of it. But the two shepherds and the chow, definitely we go into this crazy itching, insane, everybody's itching with chicken, so we do fish at our house. I've tried beef. It's okay for two, but not for the chow. And so fish seems to be the overall balance. And the core with our pack, I will always, I like to keep my kibble the same, and then I change up from doing some freeze-dried raw to raw, canned food, even table scraps, depending upon what we're having. Just so if they do get into something, it's not so terrible on their stomach. So keeping their stomach strong and used to seeing different things in there, I will do table scraps in with their kibble. And one thing that I learned overall from kind of playing around with raw and reading, I can't remember the exact name of the book, but the author, her name is Kimothy, and she talks a lot about mimicking, what they would eat on if human beings were not involved, and the majority of what their diets is fluid. If they were to go out and just kill a rabbit, the majority of what animals and human beings are made up of fluid, and then they have the bone and the meat and all of that. And so I do mix water in with my kibble with the dogs, and so that they're getting more fluid than kibble actually with their twice a day feeding. So just some things that I try and keep balanced out. And I'm just never afraid to try new things, but keeping things kind of leveled out. Today we're up in Great Falls, and we thought, let's go and look and see what we can find for them to chew on while we're stuck in the hotel room. And there was just nothing, pig's ears, from the grocery store, just too greasy. They don't have a pet specialty place up here, and so finding high-quality organic things is not very easy. So we just didn't end up getting them anything because I just didn't want to deal with upsets on these on the road. So, Michelle, what do you decide about how much to feed your pack? Do you go off the bag food, the bag of food? Do you go off of, what you feel like they need? What do you do to decide how much they eat?
So I've always been extremely crazy about my dog's body weight, like abnormally crazy about it, because my Cavalier does have, they come with health issues that deal with being fat and stuff. So I've always been extremely crazy about it. I kind of look at the bag and kind of base it a little bit off of that, but really it's just where they're at. And it depends season to season. It depends day to day. Like, I will look at her sometimes and be like, oh, you look chunky today, so you're getting a little less or a little more. Like I said, with her, she's a little bit harder because she does have to eat more often. So she's a little bit of a different case, but with my other two, it's definitely, I'm watching every day, like, what they look like, and how much they're getting. Same with treats and stuff like that. If I know we're doing a big training day, they don't get fed nearly as much. So I think I start by looking at the bag, but that's not, I honestly haven't looked at the back of a bag in a long, long time. So, I kind of go off on my gut feeling on how I feel.
Nice. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things with that, and I think all of us are pretty obsessed about keeping our dogs thin and healthy, is, mine are, they all go through phases, but for the most part, they, if we want to humanize the emotion, they're always hungry. And I don't know if you experienced that, Michelle, where, if there's food, they will happily eat it.
Oh, absolutely. Prentice is totally that way.
Mine seems to, if we go off that emotion, seem to always be hungry. What about you and Shannon and Michelle? What do you guys feel about that with your dog?
Louie's not like that. If he's not, has times when he's not hungry. So sometimes I'll put his food in his bowl and he'll eat it right away. And sometimes I'll put his food in his bowl and he'll just leave it there all day and eat it all the way at night time. And so then I just feed him the once that day because he's probably sleeping on the sofa all day, being lazy. We didn't go out and do anything. So he's not a dog where you could just keep filling his bowl over and over and over and he would just eat it. He just isn't like that.
But you don't just fill his bowl up. You measure it out every day anyway.
Yeah, I do. I have a measuring cup and I just put it in his bowl in the morning a certain amount and at night a certain amount. And if he doesn't eat it, I just leave it in the bowl. So like if he didn't eat all the way till dinner, then he would eat it at dinner and then I'd feed him again the next day in the morning. Like I don't make him eat a certain amount. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you don't just fill the bowl up completely. Nope. I mean, it's measured out so you know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Overall in a day what he's eaten.
I have a measuring cup.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk a little bit about calories, and I think that it's a huge eye-opener where, so I feed a brand of food called Horizon. It's all organic, and their preservatives are not, their preservatives are organic as well. And so, looking at their website, and looking at what my dog's ideal weight is, it's fascinating because I think it's consistent across the board is they want us to feed more than what we should. And so instead of going off the dog food bag, we need to look at the calorie content. And every bag of dog food should have their calories per cup on there. And so you take your goal weight, not the weight that your dog is right now, but your goal weight. And so if I took Bora, his goal weight is 80 pounds, I'm going to take